Hello, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am really glad you're here. Today's date is Friday, July 7th, 2023. I would like to, in this video, compare two organizations that have committed themselves to addressing a world issue of human trafficking. And I want to say at the very outset of this, in no way is anything that the cards tell us or that I'm going to say, do I want this to stop the success and the wide viewership of the Sound of Freedom movie, which was kept in off of our screens for 5 years. 5 years while people were victimized. And maybe a little more earlier enlightenment could have addressed it. So the movie Sound of Freedom highlights the case. It's supposed to be a real life case of Tim Ballard, who is the face and head of Operation Underground Railroad. Now, as I did some seeking out of information, because at one time I was a donor to Operation Underground Railroad, I became aware of a lot of issues with that organization, some potential scandals and what have you, and they were kind of the catalyst for me deciding to center my volunteer efforts and my personal charity donations to very local structures like my food bank and my local humane society. So that doesn't mean that there's a bad or good in this scenario. But I do want to raise your awareness that there are other organizations out there. I'm going to mention one, and we're going to compare these two with the cards, okay? There are other organizations out there that don't seem to have the bookkeeping irregularities, the huge donations that don't really seem to match the output and the success ratios, that don't get called out for fictitious actions. So I'm not saying that I'm comparing one that has nothing like that and one that does. We're going to let the cards tell us. Now I'm going to a share screen, and this is by no means a comprehensive compilation at all, but I'm going to show you a couple of items that did and make me think that this was a good tarot-worthy project, because people are leaving Sound of Freedom emotional, and they should be, and galvanized, and they should be, and with a huge desire to do something and make a difference, and they should be. But what we shouldn't do is act on our emotions only. We need to do due diligence about where we send our donations and to whom, and just make sure that we're getting the most value for our donated dollars and time. I think we can all agree with that. And there's times that we tend to make people heroes that maybe shouldn't be heroes. Okay, Mr. Ballard deserves a lot of respect for making this movie. And I personally respect him for being a fabulous public relations expert. He knows how to promote himself and his organization. Absolutely. Okay, let me go now that I've said my respects. Let's look at this compilation. As always, you can follow the link in the video description box and see what I'm pointing at now. If you don't like to use Facebook, you can pause the video and kind of get an idea of where to go independently, or just do your own searching like I did to start, okay? Here we go. All right. American Crime Journal has an article, it's over a year old now, about Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad. It is well worth your time to read. Much of it, not all of it, but much of it really made sense to me. And I hear we Americans overuse the term resonate, but it did. It did. A few of the things to notice here, I'm just doing a little scrolling. That while Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad have had a lot of publicity, okay, they also haven't got a single rescued survivor or family member speaking on their behalf. The sole rescued survivor Tim Ballard touted publicly as the O.U.R poster child, Liliana, including selling merchandise supposedly designed by her, turned out to be a total fabrication. O.U.R had no involvement in either her rescue or aftercare. Then it goes on to illuminate a little bit about what O.U.R considers aftercare, which is depositing a child in an orphanage rather than continuing to their ongoing support and rehabilitation. Okay, so it's worth reading, definitely worth reading. Then, to be fair, you can read what Operation Underground Railroad wants you to know about themselves. And then another well-known organization that deals with aftercare and survivors of trafficking is the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance. And there's their main page. And then there is at least one group on Twitter that is solely devoted to exposing Tim Ballard. Now, whether they'll end up doing it successfully or not, I don't know. But they have a lot of links there in their tweets, and you may want to look at that. Again, this isn't for those of you that are thinking of going and seeing Sound of Freedom. I support that completely. What I'm saying, regardless of what the cards tell us, is do your due diligence, do your homework, and make sure that you give your offerings of time and money to the best possible purveyor of the services you're hoping to support. Okay, now, recently we did a 5-card comparison, top row, bottom row. I'm going to do that again. My top row is going to be 5 cards that are going to kind of typify and give potential volunteers and donors advice about Operation Underground Railroad. And then the same thing for the bottom 5 cards, which will be for the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance. And let's compare just these two. Understand there's more out there. So if you don't like what these cards say, and you want to keep looking for somewhere to put your money, you know, or to volunteer your time and talents, you know, like I said, do your homework. There's more out there, but let's compare these two and see how they stack up against one another. All right, now our first card is going to be the card that typifies the organization. The second card will tell us a little more, go a little deeper. Third card is going to be hidden influences upon that organization. Then advice is card 4, and a potential outcome to donors and volunteers is going to be the 5th card. And I'll repeat those as we do the read. Okay, so let's find out what the universe wants us to know about these two organizations kind of, you know, stacked against one another. All right. Okay, comparison, 5 cards each for, oops, Wheel of Fortune. Okay, 5 cards each for the Operation Underground Railroad, top row, and National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, bottom row. See what the universe wants us to know, especially those of us who are potential volunteers and donors. Okay, Operation Underground Railroad, the card that typifies them is the 2 of Pentacles. Telling us a little more, Ace of Cups, so they're very successful. Hidden influences, Justice. Mr. Ballard is an ex-law enforcement person. Advice to donors and volunteers. Potential outcome of that advice. Our universe is so sensible. Okay, now, National Trafficking Shelter Alliance. The card that typifies them is 10 of Cups. Clarify that a little more. Whoa, good stuff. 6 of Swords. Hidden influences. Ace of Pentacles. Advice to donors and volunteers. The Chariot. Possible outcome, if you listen to that advice, is the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, let's look at these cards and talk about what they mean. Now, intuitively, what this is telling me, I'm just going to tell you, and then I'll explain what elements of the cards kind of lead me to that. Okay, some of what is given to Operation Underground Railroad does go where it's stated it will go and is used for good purpose, but not too much of it. Okay, they're very successful, but we got looking at like 50-50 here. All right, the hidden influence is the Justice card. Okay, now again, Mr. Ballard has a law enforcement, possibly even 3-letter agency background. So that may be why this is coming up, and he's invested in this issue, absolutely. But is he going about it in the most non-self-serving way? I don't know. Now here's the advice for people. Judgment. Use your judgment. Okay. All right. And the outcome, if you do, you're still going to be feeling like you should be somewhat generous to this organization. And if that's where your conscience and your discernment leads you, by all means, do so. Okay. Now, what I'm getting here from for the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, they are wholly invested in what they do, and they have a demonstrable track record of bringing victims of trafficking to safety. Okay, Ace of Pentacles is telling me that they've got some prosperity coming their way, that they've got some success coming their way. The Chariot. So what I'm getting here is bang for buck. You're not going to go totally wrong with either one, but it is looking like, if you listen to the advice here with the Chariot, which is often about forward motion, fast moving, if you decide to, if you're galvanized and want to donate your time or your resources to the cause, they will welcome it and use it well. And you may feel like you're supporting the an also ran, but you're not. Okay, so both of them have pentacles for the outcome. So people are going to choose one or the other, and maybe even one that's not in this comparison. Neither's showing up as horrible. All right, but it does look like Operation Underground Railroad. It could be much more efficient and could better allocate their resources, and should. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. Let's see, 2 more cards. One for Operation Railroad, one for National Trafficking Shelter Alliance. And the final say is King of Cups and 2 of Cups. Cups are emotion suit. Okay, they're the love one. King of Cups can be a little tricky. He is, I've said it before, the ultimate poker player. He's got a poker face, okay? And he's going to look out for number 1 and whatever his mission is. So that's what it's saying here. The National Trafficking Shelter Alliance is willing to work in partnership with others. They play well with others. And I couldn't dig up anything really negative about them. So that's why I thought they'd be good to compare with Operation Underground Railroad. So let's recap. I am absolutely, for every success possible, a proponent of people seeing and giving their hard-earned money to see Sound of Freedom. I am glad that a light is being shown on this horrible issue. Absolutely. However, there is some troubling chatter about Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad, which has fewer results than they actually claim and much fewer than their resources would seem to indicate possible. So I shared a couple of sites, an article that lists some of the issues that Mr. Ballard and his organization have had, and then left the organization page for his organization. And as a comparison, we looked at the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, which also works in aftercare and rescued victims. Okay, and just by the way, I have no reason to doubt these statistics, but it broke my heart to hear that only 1% of those who are trafficked are rescued or manage to leave it. And before they do, before they either are rescued, leave it, or come to final harm, they are usually raped an average of 6,000 times. That's horrible. It's horrible. So definitely there's a need for aftercare. There's also a need to put an end to this. And you know what? If there wasn't a demand, there wouldn't be a supply. So we need to look at our own very fallible human natures. And what is it that makes people think it's okay to do that or to pay for that? I don't know. I don't know. It's beyond my understanding. Okay, well, we compared the two organizations, and what we came up with was that if you are choosing to give some time, talent, or money to either organization, some of what you give is going to end up, neither had bad cards, okay? However, Operation Underground Railroad looks like they're about 50% less efficient in using or putting their resources towards true rescue and aftercare. Okay, that they could be much more efficient in putting more on that. And I know that part of their success is their good PR campaigns and things like that. And they're excellent at that, but maybe a few more resources going to true aftercare, true rescues would be nice. The beautiful card for National Trafficking and Shelter Alliance, absolutely. Look, they're all about getting victims, little and grown, to safety. Absolutely. Okay. The Tell Me More card for them also was all about going from a place of trouble to a better place. That is their mission. They are true to that mission. Now, not to be outdone, Operation Underground Railroad had the Ace of Cups showing up, a card of success. They are successful, okay? And it's also often a card of love. So I do think that at the heart of it, there's love involved in their mission. Absolutely. I don't doubt that at all. And their hidden influence is justice. So there's a lot of potential there to be realized or realized more fully. Absolutely. Ace of Pentacles showed up for National Trafficking Shelter Alliance for their hidden influence. Ace of Pentacles, card that talks about success and manifestation. So they are truly invested in rescue and rehabilitation, totally invested in it. And they're having some success. Okay, now the advice card. The first one for Operation Underground Railroad. Use your judgment. Okay, and this is often about reviewing past. So again, do your homework. All right, do your homework. The advice to potential donors and volunteers for National Trafficking Shelter Alliance was at a full speed ahead. And the Chariot often shows up. He's often thought of as the younger version of the Emperor. But he doesn't back down from a challenge, and he is all about full speed ahead, and he is mission oriented. That's pretty good stuff. Okay, then the final outcome, if you listen to the advice, okay, for Operation Underground Railroad, remember the advice was judgment, and it looks like people are still going to donate, but they just need to understand that maybe just not as wholeheartedly as they might have previously, pre-homework. And then the final possible outcome, if you listen to the advice card, which was the chariot for National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, understand that they quietly go their own way and they're doing what they do. They're fully invested in rescue and they're not PR experts, okay? But again, Pentacle's showing up, so resources are going to be heading their way and they will use it wisely, absolutely. The King of Cups was kind of like, let's get a bonus card. King of Cups showed up for Operation Underground Railroad, and he's all about himself, okay? He looks out for number one. And then the Two of Cups showed up for the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, a card of agreement and collegiality. And so they're willing to work with others. They can be well with others. So will you go totally wrong if you choose one over the other or choose a third or a fourth one because there are others out there? No, it's all about your own discretion. But don't make an emotional decision because you walk out of that movie theater and you've got a heightened awareness of the problem and you want to do something. Fine, then do your homework and decide what you're going to do and who will best provide the services and outcome that you would like to have your dollar or time realize. That's it for this video. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. I appreciate that you're viewing this and that you're willing to think outside the box a little bit. Okay, also, moderator Julie and I both appeared on Truth Talk with Steve, which can be found on a site that rhymes with Bumble. We were kind of poking at the matrix. So if you'd like to watch that, you can. It was fun to meet with him, and at some point he's going to do a short video with me, and so you'll be seeing Mr. Truth Talk with Steve a little more. But I just want to let you know that we had done that, and I'm not allowed to put direct links. So again, just a recent upload, Truth Talk with Steve, and it can be found on that site that rhymes with Bumble. Until next time, I send you love and light and all things bright. Bye.